Welcome to another episode of Tag Me In. There is no disembodied voice of ScooterRay. There is no handsome devil in Jaeger Bombastic. There is nobody walking through the forbidden door like Juggernaut. And of course, there is no young OG Leo. It is just me, Prince Dizzle, Mr. Dizzle himself for the TMI takeover. We have a few things to talk about. First and foremost, is Mania season cooked? That I don't know. It damn sure looks that way. But I think we need to survey the landscape and see exactly where we stand to decipher what exactly is going on and what needs to be done. Because with all of these injuries that's happening, and of course, WWE being in a metaphorical creative landfill of nonsense, it's hard to know what exactly is going on and what can potentially happen. And if WrestleMania is going to be worth the price of admission, because I can tell you right now, with everything going on with these high ticket prices and the stuff that we're getting on TV, it's not worth the price of admission financially. And it's also not worth the price of admission attention wise. So, first and foremost, let's look at these injuries because right now, of course, we just had Bronson Reed get injured on Monday Night Raw due to a torn bicep, which sucks for him because he already missed last year's due to, I believe it was, I don't know if it's one or two broken ankles from the Elimination Chamber. Not Elimination Chamber, from War Games, from the previous War Games that we had, where he jumped off the top and completely fucked himself up. He shouldn't have done that at all. But so torn bicep for him. And of course, we had Braun Breaker, who had the hernia, so he underwent surgery, which now they're saying that his Mania status is in doubt. So he could make it, maybe not. I don't know, unless he's like some freak athlete and is going to recover like John Cena and then make it. I don't know. Personally, I would say just sit it out because you don't want to make it worse or potentially end up hurting yourself down the line trying to come back too quick. It's just better to just set it and forget it and then wait for next year's WrestleMania and then just come in and just dominate the remainder of 2026. Bianca Belair, she is set to go in surgery this month, which I mean, February is almost over. So I would assume that she either is going this week or has already gone and they haven't updated it. But that, and again, like I said last week, that whole thing with her knuckle finger, I was wrong because it was absolutely way more serious. Apparently, it got injured in Mania last year, and I don't know what the process that they took to care for it, but for her to have to go through all that time to then finally get surgery this year, that's crazy. But of course, she's gonna miss Mania. There's no question about it. Owens, anything with a neck, it's always going to be touch and go, and you never really want to rush that in any way, shape, or form. So Owens, now they say that he underwent surgery in July of 2026. There, I'm pretty sure that was a typo when they mean 2025. But for Owens, of course, I would love to see him back sooner than later, but at the same time, I would love for him to get better. I would absolutely want him to come back in the best shape. So that way, when he does come back, there will be no time off and he can make up for the time that he's lost. We got Chelsea Green, of course, broken ankle. Usually that stuff takes about a good 8 weeks to heal for the most part. I'm saying it from personal experience. But even then, 8 weeks, I mean, you're able to walk. You know, you're not going to go through and do anything of athletic significance, for lack of a better term. So I would assume that she's going to miss Mania as well. That's very unfortunate because I would have assumed that Chelsea Green would have had a fantastic Mania weekend. I don't know what she would have been doing because clearly she wasn't going to be in the chamber, which means she wasn't going to be in the main event of Mania. But unless they were going to go with a multi-woman match for the United States Championship, but I don't think they're going to slot her back into that. I think that she would have done something, but I think personally, I believe that as far as the mid-card title for the women would be more so leaning towards the Intercontinental Championship. I think that's going to be your multi-women match for Mania, as it should be, because there's more story built around it. I think with the US title, they don't necessarily know what exactly they're going to do with it. But who else do we have? Elton Prince. Again, another neck injury. And let's see, he did surgery in January. So absolutely going to miss it. But I mean, this is a blessing for Kit Wilson. Now, what's going to happen when Elton Prince comes back? I don't know. But at least Kit Wilson is not going to be sitting on the shelf as most tag teams would be done, i.e. the Viking Raiders, unfortunately. But BFAB suffered a concussion in January. That's concussion protocol, but at the same time, BFAB, I don't think was going to be slotted in Mania season at all. No offense to her, but of course, WWE isn't doing a lot of things with a lot of people. Same thing with Mia Yim / Meechin, because I thought she was injured, but apparently she's back. So, and that goes a perfect example as to why it doesn't matter with BFAB, because nobody's doing anything with Meechin anyway. So, and there's a lot of other people that sit and creatively bankrupt when it comes to booking. But it's unfortunate because WWE should be able to fix these things, and they should be able to push the necessary stars and create more stars, which they are not doing. And it's a testament. Sorry, it's a glaring example of why new stars need to be created and need to be pushed, which that is one of my suggestions for what they do with Mania. But let me lean over to AEW real quick, because AEW is doing something right now, and we've touched on it for the past 2 weeks, where AEW has been building their main event scene when it comes to the men, and they're building stars that centered around the AEW championship. Right now, we have Swerve with a fantastic promo last night, giving explanation to the stuff he did last week when it comes to Kenny Omega, and it made sense. And then the fact that you find a way to slot Brody King into that situation as well, and then Brody King responds in turn. So I think with everything that's going on, especially when you come, Hangman's got his match with MJF at Revolution, and then you have now potentially a grudge with Kenny Omega and Swerve, which is going to be fantastic, because now you have that going on. You have the pending return of Ospreay, which will be more than likely in the summertime. And now you have other people stepping up to the plate when it comes to, so there is no lack of what direction you can go, just in case somebody does either gets injured or they need to pivot or whatever. It's not like the WWE situation right now. AEW, in terms of their main event scene for the men, is looking like how Black and Gold NXT was looking when Triple H had it set up to where whatever would happen, he would have somebody at the ready to be slotted in for whatever was necessary at that time. But so when it comes to that, I think WWE needs to just go ahead and take a fucking chance. They need to just say fuck it, because here's the thing. They're in a position where you have nothing to lose at this point outside of fans. But I mean, you're already doing that when it comes to these ticket prices, when it comes to the stale and bland ass TV that you have going on a week-to-week basis. These PLEs that you have going on aren't really doing you justice, as opposed to how AEW may have weird weekly shows, but their PLEs are pretty much stacked with good matches. Not so much Grand Slam, but Grand Slam, that was a glorified collision anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But to stay on topic, right now, our Mania season has 5 matches. Now, not completely fleshed out, because we're still waiting for the competitors of 3 of those matches. Because right now, we have CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Obviously, more than likely your main event for night 2. We have Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan. we'll touch more on the build of that probably next week. I'll give my thoughts on that because I want to see what happens next week. Because right now it's very predictable and they're not really selling me too much on the Stephanie Vicaria Liv Morgan feud. But hey, we're here. Then of course we have the men's and women's chamber matches, which respectfully the champions that they have: Drew McIntyre for SmackDown and then Jade Cargill as well for SmackDown. Now, for the men, it's a toss up because they're more than likely going to go with Cody Rhodes, but we can already rule out Jey Uso because he wasn't supposed to be in there. I believe that win for Raw for the qualifying match was meant for Bronson Reed, so he out of there. Javon Evans, he's out of there. I think this is really just to give him a nice little test to see what he can do. Trick Williams, now let me hold off on that. Randy Orton, I can see it. I don't think they're going to go that route. LA Knight, again, I don't see it. I could see it. I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do it. But LA Knight at this point has two options when it comes to the his matches for Mania, but he definitely should be slotted into a Mania match for sure. Cody Rhodes, I would only slot Cody Rhodes in a situation where, again, like I've been talking about for the past month, where if it's Sami Zayn, Jacob Fatu, Cody Rhodes, and Drew McIntyre, you can even take out Sami Zayn and just make it the three-way between McIntyre, Fatu, and Rhodes, because that story's been building and there has to be a payoff to that, which is why I think that's where they're going to go. So that's the only reason why I pretty much kind of eliminate Orton from that situation, because there's a story there and you can make something more of it. But I think the money is with the multi-man match for the WWE Championship. So I would hope that that's the case. But if they're going to pivot, which again, I don't think they're going to, I would probably go with LA Knight or Trick Williams. Now, for Trick Williams, I don't think you need to put him in a championship match for the world title or the WWE Championship. Personally, I think you can go ahead and just pull the trigger on a mid-card title. I wouldn't want to take the title off of Carmelo Hayes. So what do you do? Because it seems like when it comes to Carmelo Hayes, they're going to go with The Miz and Hayes, unless they, which they're not going to pivot unless they miraculously make some changes tomorrow night on SmackDown and then make a championship match between The Miz and Carmelo Hayes for Elimination Chamber. But I don't see that happening. So the only option is to just go ahead and make that match between The Miz and Carmelo Hayes and just pay off that feud at Mania, which of course I would see Melo winning that. But if you wanted to throw a nice little wrench in that plan and just, shoot Trick to the moon, go ahead and have him have that match at Mania. Or you can go ahead and you can do a SmackDown after Mania and have Trick win the US title. I think that would be your best bet as well, because Trick Williams right now is money, absolute money. Now, when it comes to Javon Evans, I think you go ahead and you pay off him pinning Dominic in their qualifier match for Elimination Chamber, and you have him go ahead and go up against Dominic at Mania for the Intercontinental Championship, and then you have Javon go over on Dominic. And for LA Knight, it's a fucking stretch, because if you're not going to have Oba retire Brock, because I don't think they're going to retire Brock anytime soon. You could, but I don't know if they're really going to pull that trigger just yet. I think they're still waiting on certain things to kind of play out. We all know what those are. But I think if you go ahead, if you really want to give LA Knight the nice little rub that he desperately deserves, you give him Brock at Mania, because look, people are against Brock right now like crazy. So go ahead, have LA get that nice little face push and have him go over on Brock in some way, shape, or form. Give him the win that Dean Ambrose deserved at Mania. But yeah, when it comes to the women for Elimination Chamber, honestly, for me personally, there's only two real options and one hopeful option. It's either going to be Tiffany Stratton or Raquel Rodriguez as far as believable. And I purposely left out Rhea because I believe Rhea and Io need to defend the tag titles at Mania because they've been doing so well with those. I think they need to just go ahead and defend those at Mania because that's where they need to be, especially if you're trying to flesh out the Mania card. That's what needs to happen. So when it comes to Raquel, one, you think about the size there. It's believable for the moment. So at least you can give them something. Who leads that match? I don't know. Tiffany and Jade have already had history in the ring. I think what, 3 times so far. Um, as far as one-on-one goes, you can go ahead and pull that trigger again and let them go back at it. Who wins on that one? It really depends on what WWE wants to do. Now, again, if you want to have the switch up just for switch up sake and just to sit here and inject some type of newness into WWE to give some unpredictability to it, you go ahead and have Kiana James just, give her a shot. See if she's good enough to just go up in there and do what she needs to do on the big stage. Personally, for me, Jade isn't doing it for me. I don't know if that's because of her or if it's because of WWE. It is hard to tell at this point. But only time will tell. And I think personally, I believe Mania will probably be the biggest tell because Jade tends to have spurts of real good shit that happens. Like when Elimination Chamber happened, when they pulled the trigger on the whole her going after Naomi thing. She looked good. When she won the title off of Tiffany, she looked good. But then there's other instances where she does not look good and things kind of seem off. So I don't know if it's because of her, if it's because the chemistry, the dynamic between her and her opponents, if it's WWE, if it's lack of faith, if it's lack of confidence, I don't know. But I personally can't put my finger on it. And maybe I need to just lean in and actually watch Jade some more so I can kind of decipher what the hell is going on. But Kiana James has shown promise, one, in the Rumble, and then two, just on TV in general. And then in the match that she had with I believe it was Charlotte and Nia. Yes, it was Charlotte and Nia. Where she actually showed out very well. So I think if you just go ahead and just give her a shot, see what happens. She could probably lose that match at Mania. And you can just chalk it up to inexperience, the same way that they did with Jade was going against Tiffany the first time. And it wouldn't be an issue. But at least you would have some promise in a star there where then you can kind of build on maybe some dissension or division between her and Julia, which would be cool because then that slots her firmly in the mid-card scene for the women. And then potentially she could win the United States Championship. Or if you want to cause that dissension now after the fact of the Elimination Chamber, if she doesn't win that, then you can start to cause a rift now and then have that match at Mania if you want to do that. But I think they need to start pulling the trigger on the stars that fans are starting to get behind. And Kiana James is one of them, as well as Trick Williams, obviously, especially with the fact that they were already chanting whoop that trick on Raw, and he's not even on Raw. And you're talking about in a main event segment. So now when it comes to the singles matches for the respective championships on Elimination Chamber, Becky and AJ, this needed to happen because you can't stretch this all the way out to Mania, especially if AJ's not going to be on TV on a week-to-week basis to build this. And do I see AJ winning this? I don't know. And the only reason I don't know is because I don't know how you can realistically push this after Becky loses to then make it a multi-woman match. I think what you do is if they're having this match, you end up having some way, shape, or form, Natty and Maxine kind of getting involved in some way, and then this kind of just pushes forward into something. Or you can just have Becky just win straight up, whether it's two shenanigans or whatever, and then start to try to build this, and then have Maxine and Natty get involved along the way to Mania, and then it becomes that multi-woman match. But because here's the thing, what happens if AJ does win? Is she going to be on TV moving forward? Is she going to be a fighting champion? Is she going to be active on TV as far as having more matches up to Mania? I don't know, because that would contradict what Punk what Punk's gripe is when it comes to a Roman. He talks about how much he's a fighting champion and all this. Now your wife is up here. She wins a championship and then she just goes home off TV. Now, again, I don't know. I don't know. But we'll have to see what happens there. Punk and Balor, obviously, Punk is going over. It's unfortunate. Um, I mean, because look, we're getting Roman and Punk, obviously, and we know that that's what's going to happen. Would it be cool if Balor did win this? Yeah, because again, there's still a story there between Roman and Balor anyway. And do I see them maybe potentially moving this to a to a triple threat match between the three? The percentage is low on it, very low on it, but I mean, hey, could it happen? Yes. Do I see it happening? No. Do I want it to happen? More than likely, yeah, because I think that Balor would add again a bit of freshness to it. So now, when it comes to Lesnar, I don't think that they should have come out on Raw and then talked about the dates that he's going to be there, and all these people have this amount of time to come in, because all you're going to do is stretch it out to like the very last day. That's very predictable. Um, I, this is lazy to me. This is very lazy to me, because I think if you're going to run down the locker room in that promo, and it felt very weird too. It was very awkward. But if you're going to run down a locker room, knowing that there are people back there that would honestly come out and then just, because I mean, you think, because Oba was on the show, um, you're gonna have him just not show up, even though he's been calling himself the ruler, and he doesn't back down. He wants a fight and stuff like that. Anybody else that's on there is going to be like, nope. You're gonna have LA Knight not go out there like that. Like that's the stuff that doesn't make any sense to me, because there's been plenty of times, especially when it comes to the Rumble, people have gone up against Brock in the Rumble, not scared of him. It's not like everybody ran from him when he came into the Rumble. So it's not like people are scared. And at the same time, it's not like people don't want a WrestleMania moment, win, lose, draw, whatever. So it's unrealistic for me to believe that when they try to book it that way. So because it's like this entire time, you're going to go through each one of those dates that he shows up and nobody comes out. And then all of a sudden, somebody who was more than likely been shown on TV that entire time never once came out until that moment. Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. That's a bunch of TV building that you could have on that. That's a bunch of TV moments that you can have that could lead up to Mania, that could then build intrigue for Mania. That's dropping the ball. I don't know what else you do, outside of probably pushing new talent, especially when it comes to this whole thing with the Vision, because I'm pretty sure the Vision was going to be prominent across Mania. Like you would have at least, I would have assumed 3 different matches for Mania that you probably would have had. Yeah, I believe 2 to 3 matches, because I think Breaker would have been featured in a singles match, and then you would have had Logan featured in a singles match, whether it be with Bad Bunny or somebody else. And then I would personally have seen Bronson Reed and Austin Theory more than likely challenge the Usos for the tag titles and then potentially win. So it's unfortunate, because I think this probably would have been the Vision's Mania, and then they would have run roughshod on the Raw after Mania. So now everything is up in the fucking air. Everything is up in the fucking air because you have stars that you haven't been building, and now you have to fast track stars, which you kind of have the time to do so if you do it the right way. But with the way things are going right now, Balor's going to be fed to Punk, and there's nothing that they're going to really do. Dominic, now that he's back, he's fresh. He has a chance to be on the show, so that's a match that you can have with somebody. So you have room to maneuver certain things without messing it up entirely. But right now, WWE is treading the waters of having a very trash ass Mania, in my opinion. Now, before we get up out of here, we have to talk about the situation with Michael P.S. Hayes and Chelsea Green. And I'm going to touch on it briefly because a lot of people already know what the situation is when it comes to his comments about basically stating that Chelsea Green, for lack of a better term, is playing her part. Like she is there to enhance the stars. And I find it disrespectful. More so in the way that he said it and the fact that he doubled down on what he said, because he said he doesn't well, I won't say that he doesn't feel bad. He doesn't regret what he said. And the reason I have a problem with it is because we've watched plenty of stars basically become glorified enhancement talent for the main event and not really go anywhere because of it, because they're too good at making other people look good. The prime example of this is Dolph Ziggler. And again, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to be like, hey, I'm so good at what I do that I can't elevate to this level because I do too good of a job at making other people look good. You can't do that to people who are good, who are just as good in the ring. Because again, enhancement talent is enhancement talent for a reason. We know that. But when you have people who can make people look good, but also are good, but you relegate them to one simple position and you box them in to one area that doesn't benefit them, but they spend so much time benefiting other people, it's very disrespectful to them and that person, because of the fact that you're basically just telling them, hey, you're here for this reason. Don't get any ideas of trying to get up on a ladder because we have you here. We need to make this person look good, because then where does it end? Where does it end when it's like, okay, well, I'll make this person look good. Like let's throw the example out there. Jade Cargill. Let's say that Chelsea Green has a program with Jade. She's not supposed to go over, but she's there to make Jade look good. Okay, she makes Jade look good. That feud's done. What happens next? Does Chelsea then get her chance then? Or is it, oh, well, we got this other person coming up. Hey, you made Jade look so good. Can you go ahead and make this other person look good as well? And then she has a feud with that person. And then that person goes up. And then what happens? Does she get elevated then? No, because she's already elevated this person. Here, we'll give you a nice little mid-card title, for the 17th time, for all your hard work. But I want to be in the main event. No. Hold on. We'll talk about that later. But right now, we got this other person coming up from NXT who's really promising. Can you make them look good? It's not fair. Dolph did that for, I want to say, the better part of 10 years after he won his world heavyweight championship, because he did it before where he should have done it in the mid-card scene when he was being Intercontinental Champion, US champ. Prior to that, when he was part of the Spirit Squad. But even before he won Money in the Bank, he was where he needed to be. Then he won the heavyweight championship after cashing in, but then unfortunately got a concussion. And then what happened? Nothing. They stalled him. They didn't even grant him the chance to get back up in that scene again, because after that, he was too busy making a CM Punk look good. He was too busy making Daniel Bryan look good. He was too busy making Cena look good. He was too busy making other people look good that entire time. And then they basically gave him what I would consider a demotion, and it's no disrespect to NXT, but again, you're talking about the main event on the main roster, and then basically getting a consolation prize of the NXT championship during NXT 2.0, where you're the champion, they give you that, but then you then turn around to then have to make Breaker look good on the Raw after Mania, to the point to where you're busy and they give you Intercontinental Championship, they give you the Tag Team Championships with Rude, and then you spend so much time jobbing out to other people because you're so good at making other people look good that you have to leave the company to then get the respect that you deserve in TNA, where then they do give you that respect. They put the world title, they put the world championship on you, and now you're a standard bearer at TNA. And people still want you back in WWE. I'm talking about the fans, of course, because again, the ovation that he got during that tournament, yeah. It's disrespectful to sit there and say that, yeah, you're so good at this that we're going to keep you here. And I know that Hayes didn't say we're going to keep you here, but he might as well have. Because if you're not going to regret what you say, especially if you talk about how Netflix twists your words and all this other stuff, no, they couldn't have twisted your words that way if you said you don't regret what you said, especially if you double down on what you say. Anybody that's on that roster wants to be in the top. And I know that everybody can't make it, but when you have people who are promising enough to be able to at least be given a chance to be put in a position so that way they can show you what they can do, it is worth checking out, and not just to sit here and say, well, hold on, we know that you're getting the ovation and we know that you're good at this, but you're also good at making other people look good. So we wanted to keep you here for a little bit and then see where things go from there. That's not the appropriate response to that. I'm sorry. Maybe it's the appropriate response to certain NXT talent when they come up. But when you have somebody that you are supposed to be entrusting in the main roster to be able to move the needle when it comes to ratings, when it comes to fan response, when it comes to just selling the product, and people are responding to that in a positive way, you have a duty in creative to put the best thing that is going to generate fan reaction on TV, on your product, not just what the fuck you think you need to see, or not just what the fuck you want to see. Vince McMahon isn't there. This isn't an audience of one. You should be able to book the show the way that it needs to be booked, so that way you can retain fan interest. That's my 2 cents on that. But of course, you know what it is. Whether you loved it, hate it, don't forget to rate it, thumbs up, thumbs down, leave all your comments, questions, concerns down below. Make sure you tag the like button, tag the subscribe button, tag notification bell, so that way you're updated on any and everything that we do drop on a weekly basis. And let me go ahead and warm up the Too Sweet. Usually it's from my bros and you guys at home, but now it's just me and you. So good old bada 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 bam. And of course, until you hear these immaculate voices and see these handsome faces, we bid you all adieu. And until next time, you beautiful, 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 beautiful mother effers. Tag the fucketh out.
Dollars make a way to make a change. Gotta be insane to make them same mistakes again. So I'm switching lane to lane.